Hi, good morning. I'm from Anime Carib. My name is Jessica. Some of our skills inventory include executive producing and facilitation of digital content, festival planning and facilitation. So part of that, we run a festival that runs every year at the end of the year in October. So during the process, there is a lot of usage of technology in the process of planning and organizing for such a festival. We use lots of social media marketing. We do also training in digital media and animation. We have done a lot of training with children. We've done training buses as well, equipped with computers on the bus. We do event hosting, so we would host different events either online or offline. We specialize in screening, programming, and digital content. So as an animation festival, there are a lot of, we screen films. So the programming and digital content is one of our activities. And being an animation company, we have a lot of graphic design put out.
And what's your business priority or need or problem?
Oh, sure.
Which then leads to, can you, from the list that you've just drawn, see where the gaps are?
Sure.
But don't state it. Just, go ahead, the business priority.
Well, one of the biggest things was the market research and development. There isn't much market research considering animation, particularly locally. And the knowledge of licensing and distribution pipeline for animated content. There's a lack of our own abilities to meet international standards.
Are those the business priorities that you had listed in the first section?
Yes, because we talked about being an executive producing and facilitation of digital content and creating. So there's a lack in understanding how to meet that global market. Anything else? Oh yes, so the marketing and distribution of such animated content as well is something that we are lacking, an understanding of, well, where are the channels for us to take the films after they've been created, or what is the best avenues to make revenue off of the films that are created.
All right, good, thank you. Next. Remember, over on the last table, existing skills mapped to your priorities. You don't have to state what the gaps are, but in stating both, you will see, we don't need to see, you will see the gaps that are facing your organization.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're still on step one, right?
Step one.
Nigel Bellamy from Carrie Gamers. I'm also here with Trinity Box as well, one of our partners. So I'm just going to run through real quick like. I have social media marketing. We do team management. We have event management for exhibitions and tournaments. We do membership management. We have contract negotiations, website development and integration for various platforms, for like your MailChimp and your forums and what have you. Virtual reality exhibitions, that's our hot ticket these days. We want to do customization and development of that. Tech support, we also do traditional IT tech support as well. Data entry at events, post events. Customer experience, where we engage with patrons for other partners like Republic, Flow, etc. Community management, where you engage with online communities. Graphic arts, which I just stole from them, which we do and I did not take note of before. And videography, which is to create video content for online social media, Facebook, that kind of thing. So
and what is your business need or priority?
I think looking over that list, our number one is going to be
the business priority as stated in the first exercise.
Well, it would be to develop the membership. That'll be our main need we want to work on.
What membership?
Our membership. We also have like 6,000 members in our company as a part of what we do. Right. So actually the greatest challenge there, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't hear it mentioned by anybody before, is e-commerce. Because that's kind of our greatest challenge. And how do we charge people? How do we get credit card payments to come in as a source of revenue for the business? And I think that's kind of a common theme, and I didn't really hear it mentioned before. So I kind of want to take the opportunity just to mention that. That's kind of going to be the big challenge for us to cross.
So for anyone interested in monetizing their services or internationalization, the movement of financial capital, payments, and digital services will be a key component and therefore will be a key problem in your business model, right? As listed as a business problem, all right? Next.
Hi, hello. Here from YBTT Youth Business Trinidad and Tobago. So we're an NGO. We focus basically on supporting entrepreneurs 18 to 35. Yes, hi, Alicia. Right, with microfinancing, entrepreneurial training, and mentorship, as well as allowing for some networking opportunities. So our skill, basically, I could say that we offer is really providing training programs that meet the needs of the young entrepreneurs and building their capacity to go into business, basically, on their own.
Okay, can you translate that into skills for me?
Okay, so
do your people have trainer skills in specific areas, things like that?
Right.
I'm not putting you on the spot. I just want you to distill it a little bit more.
No, I understand. So we basically have a pool of trainers that would provide the different training programs, some of them sector-based, to the entrepreneurs. Within the organization, we also offer a lot of business plan development support for the entrepreneurs that come to us, as well as trying to link the entrepreneurs with opportunities that might be regional or international that would allow them to progress their business, basically. So if I could look at what are the priorities for us, it would be customer access and experience, right, with regard to why come to YBTT and what we could offer the entrepreneurs. And it would be the product and service offering in regard to making sure that our training programs are relevant and that it fits the needs of that demographic, basically.
Okay, in that, I'm going to insert that I haven't heard anyone yet talk about a digitization of their products or services. E-commerce is one part of it, but it actually runs a line. So the digitization of your products and services as a means for customer access and engagement, and as a means of monetizing opportunities as well. Okay, good. Next. Oh, sorry, you wanted to finish something.
Well, actually, because you said not to mention the gaps, right? I didn't go into that, but what we basically want to do is to complement our face-to-face training programs.
Okay, well then don't talk.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next one. All right.
Hi. I think I mentioned before, we have developed a set of trainings for management people or people who need to manage medical laboratories. So they usually evolve from the bench technical-wise into managers without management skills. So we did a successful cadre of people in the Caribbean, but we developed a training program for resource-limited environments, which also has a potentially huge market in Africa. But we don't have the human resource, the financial resources, or the reach to deliver that. So we want to convert all of this using technology into a blended delivery, part face-to-face, part online, to be able to deliver. But it's a competency-based.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So what are the skills you do have right now that can be used to platform you over there? Where are you now?
Where we are now is we have a small group of people,
right,
with a lot of experience and training in laboratory and training delivery, but face-to-face, right? And we need to move into how to develop materials.
Okay, we're not into the need to move, because
right.
I will fall into the same trap we just fell into. So you have two clear areas of competencies, and you will identify the gaps in the next section. Good. Okay, next. Let's move up front. We have two over here. Come on, come on, come on.
You all are tapped out?
I'll make a go again. Well, as mentioned before, we're into EdTech, and our particular focus right now is a language learning app for secondary schools in the Caribbean. So that game design, of course, is a big thing, but with game design with education in mind, that will be, we have part of that competence. That's something that we do have the language learning, of course. Education needs assessment, education evaluation, also managing international partners is a skill set that's important to us. Photography and videography work as well. So those would be some of the areas, as well as communication in terms of the various collaborative software and technology.
Thank you. Are we getting a general sense of the level of detail we need to arrive at when identifying the skill sets in our organization? It's a long exercise. And so we're not trying to get to that long exercise now. But as you go through the proposal, I can only encourage you to do as much diligence as at all possible in doing the exercise for your organization, your association, your coalition. Just do it, because what you will find is that you have more than you thought you had, and the specific gaps that you thought you had are not exactly as insurmountable as they appear to be. And once refined, you will actually be able to get to a specific area of intervention that can solve your needs, that again, may or may not be training based. All right? And that's the part that we want to get clear here. Because what we want to do with the project is expand the industry in the way that identifies and fills the real training gaps, specifically identified, to grow sectors, grow industries for diversification purposes. Any more comments? Any questions? Is everybody seeing where we're going through, how we're flowing through the process to get to the end result in building your proposal? How many so far think that they can actually articulate, or coming out of this part of the session, actually articulate the elements of their own proposal? Are we getting there? Yes? Hands. I need to do a gap analysis. All right, we're good. All right. So are we at 12 o'clock? Yes. Okay. Sorry, is lunch here? I should check. Right, questions, comments, feedback? Do you want a little bit more time to be able to refine it now that you've heard some feedback? Yes? Yes, okay, all right. Before we break for lunch, because I think we're about 15 minutes early, take that time and just distill as much as you can. Call me, whatever. Yeah, oh, okay.
So you know, after lunch, so thanks for the morning. It was very exciting. I just want to walk you through what would be happening after lunch. So in the morning, what we wanted was to talk about your business, about your needs, about so that we could have a motivation of the project and how we want to serve your business, right? But later in the afternoon, after lunch, what we will have is a session in which will move us more closely to the proposals. So we will be talking more specifically about what can be funded, what cannot be funded, what is the whole spirit of the project.
and then at the afternoon we will have a more clear picture of what the homework is about to access the funding. Okay.
You have any opposition to sharing contact information to let us know. And for persons who have no opposition, we will have a participant list loaded behind that secure wall. So someone asked earlier for access to the persons who are here today, and we can put that information behind that secure wall. If you don't want your information in that space, please let either myself or Joy know, and your information will not go up. Information meaning your business name and perhaps a contact for anyone who wants to form a coalition, wants to form any sort of collaborative effort and wants to reach you. Yeah?
You're doing the poll now? Go ahead.
Oh, no, they can come to us and privately, yeah. Privately let us know if you want to opt out of that. Yes, by saying nothing, you're opting in.
That's it. Any telecommunications company will tell you that. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We had a good conversation at lunch. Oh, lunch was good? All right, there we go. Kudos to the kitchen. All right, so afternoon session. Here's how it's going to go for this. Remember, I was trying to get everyone to not do missing skills. So what we're doing now for the next half an hour or so is analyzing your skills gaps based on the inventory that you had done in the morning. So, but right after doing that, I've added one extra exercise, which is essentially now taking the common skills gaps that you've prioritized and focusing on and reshuffling the room based on the skills gap area that would be common to certain groups. All right? That's going to help drill down now the types of proposals or the type of interventions that you will need, and so on as we move into Geoff's session. Geoff's session. I don't know if anybody got that one. Yeah, there we go. Geoff's session on filling the gap, all of the various options and so on. All right, so filling that gap. Take the skills inventory that you've done, prioritized by the business need that you've established. Some have actually started already, and I want you to spend some time identifying in the level of detail as we discussed this morning, the specific skills that you actually require to fulfill the business objective that you've identified, the priority business objective that you have identified. Okay? The importance cannot be underscored. The importance of detailing it can't be underscored. It has to be traced back to the business priority that you've stated. And only then can we identify common groups of skill gaps and outliers and other. But if we stay in groups of skills gaps, we won't get to the kind of granularity that we need to be able to give particular options on how to fill them. And so Geoff needs that in order to help you identify the various options that are open to you, both in a non-training area and in a training area, and then to have deeper discussions, since most of you have not identified your training partnerships, to have more in-depth discussions with potential training partners to be able to fulfill or fill your needs. Fair enough? All right. So, does anybody need anything, or does anyone have any questions as we move on to this next section on on identifying missing skills? No means no. Okay. see what else I have here. Okay, and so when we're identifying our skills gaps, feel free to extract the skill from the knowledge and the ability section of it. So separate it by skills. Things that can be taught as opposed to things that can be learned through other methods. Does everybody understand the subtle nuance or subtle difference between the two? One that can be learned in a course or in training, and the other that can be learned through other means, perhaps mentorship, perhaps a conference, perhaps something else. Yes? Both are training type opportunities, just different. And again, allows you to articulate specifically what kinds of training interventions would be required. Question? Yes. Okay, so the subtle difference would be the skills that you require to have, or that you require in your particular business, can be taught or learned in different ways. Geoff is going to go through that in more detail. But what you need to identify as we get closer are the skills, knowledge that you need to, that can be built through both training and experience or expertise, and separate them out. Because what this proposal requires is the kind of training that must be imparted that experience can't give you. It's a training intervention. Yes? Mind you, on-the-job training kind of is one of those things that encompasses both. But identifying the difference allows you, in fact, to identify on-the-job training as a specific intervention, for example. That's right. So this is an acquisition of skills exercise, which is a specific nuance, or you can acquire skills in a homegrown fashion, right? Through using, I never went to a course to learn Microsoft Excel, for example, but I have skills in database processing and spreadsheet processing and stuff like that. That's a nuance, because this proposal doesn't allow you, or rather this proposal is focusing on specific skills that must be taught through some kind of sanctioned education outfit. Yes? All right, let's take 20 minutes at the first blush, and I'll do a time check in 20 minutes. Feel free to call on us. We'll be falling in and out of different groups to sort of refine where you are. When you identify your missing skills, you should have in mind that there is a standard or a benchmark or a baseline of skills that job or task requires. So when you're identifying how specific you need to be, identify it based on a standard that you know that has been established in your sector or industry to help you identify that common framework that you need to work with. Discussions. I think we're getting to a nice level of detail. So I want to be able to see so that Geoff can take over now and help match those missing skills with the opportunities available to us. I want to be able to hear from the groups, and I know that people have some level of distilled work already. I want to hear what are the kinds of skills that are missing as you had described them so animatedly in your groups, and match it back again to what that standard is. Just try and describe what that standard is, and then we'll move on to Geoff after that. Whoever wants to start, let's see. Anyone?
Should I go? Just you ready? I'm not ready. Okay, so the main skill gap that was identified here is the e-commerce and rather the implementation and management of it. So we're hoping to be able to get some sort of training to have that capacity in-house to implement the systems that are available in the country, because there are options right now, and just that none of our staff are comfortable with putting one of those up live for the customers to face. So that was our primary skill gap.
Before Jessie explains, I just want to say that the exercise here really cleared up a lot of, a lot of your understanding of what your project is. So I want to thank you all for doing this part of the exercise. What we came with on paper, we weren't sure of what the real outcome was. And by doing this, it kind of cleared it up a little. And I think by having clarity, you're able to focus obviously a lot more, because then you know exactly what you're looking for. So we have worked out, and Jessie will take it from here. Yeah, Jessie, go ahead.
Okay. Well, our skill gap we identified was in the producer skills development. This is a very broad field, but we are focusing a lot on the content development and fund sourcing. So in terms of like training, we would start from the beginning, which is in the production of the ideation, pre-production, storyboarding, pre-visualization, pitching, and then getting into the budget creation and allocation for digital content. As the skills we need to be developed, and for knowledge to be taught or research, we're looking at market analysis and the licensing and distribution for the digital content and discovering of online distribution models. So as a producer, there are several roles that are encompassed, and that is definitely the biggest thing that we are lacking. We have persons with the skill or the talent, but someone to bring everyone together to be able to manage both locally, regionally, and internationally the different studios. So the development of a producer and then those particular skills are what we lack.
And just to add one thing, one of the major gap as far as content for a global audience, because we're talking about a global audience here, right? We're talking about outsourcing, we're talking about global skills. One of the challenges is that if we are to create content coming from the Caribbean, there are immediate issues. One is the model that exists does not exist for us as Caribbean content creators. So what do? Do we go against that and then figure out how do we create a model for ourselves? Or do we then fit ourselves into what is existing? So this is why research is really, really important. That's kind of number one on our list. Research where would you find that people are open to cultural, diverse content? We need to figure that out. Where are some of the festivals that are open to it? What countries have a quota for diverse content? I know Canada has, I know London has, so therefore maybe those are the areas we need to look at. So the market analysis for us, we recognize today is really, really important, so a lot of focus needs to be done, but that is not done through the training in the universities, that is done through experience, so it goes under the knowledge needed.
Richard from Jury Service Center Limited. Some of the skills that we are lacking is in the automotive field. And the automotive sector is one of the largest market that we have in the country. And we are yet to keep up with the technology in terms of the diesel, the electric, hybrid, and all the DFP systems and all these high-tech technology that coming in the vehicles. What we really need is skilled technicians, skilled people to work on these vehicles. As I was saying before, sometimes when the local dealer import these vehicles, they get support from the manufacturers. After 3-5 years, they're on their own. There's no certified technical technicians, automotive technicians. Long ago we call them mechanics. But there are no certified technicians now. We need technicians to work on cars. We need, with laptop and, you know what I mean, long time was a spanner, now has a computer to fix a car. And that is what we need in my, I work for almost every ministry in the government sector. And it has reached a point where earlier on somebody made a statement that it kind of wants you to diversify because it has some jobs that I have to turn away because the technician saying, boss, I ain't going to touch that, you know. I ain't going to touch that. When you open it, there's only sensors, electronics. So we getting people to work. But what kind of people we getting to work? We can take some of those people and we can train them because they have the knowledge. They're already halfway there. They have one foot inside. But where we get the knowledge from, we have to import it. We have to partner with a supplier, somebody who could supply this information. And that's what we lacking.
I just have a comment. If everybody on each table or each group could get their problem solved, I will have solved all of mine.
Anybody else? This table?
Sharing is caring.
Elvin? Okay, there we go.
This table.
Thank you. George White from Calibra. I've not quite figured out the completeness of getting all the skill gaps identified, but I've come up with an idea which may be a start in terms of breaking down into processes. So let's say I'm looking at a business development process, then I'll break it down into steps, then identify the skills required at each step. So let's say the first step is to engage a prospect. Then what's involved there is a combination of word of mouth, cold calls, events, social media marketing initiatives, and other steps where you can get that first engagement possibility with a prospective client. So this is where we would have some of the skills, but we need a social media marketing expert, as I referred to earlier today. So the first step is to try to engage, get that first opportunity to face a prospective client. Then the next step is to qualify the opportunity. When you get that face-to-face interaction, is this something that's worth my investment? Is there a match in what I bring relative to what the client wants? And there are things that inform that where you might stop at that point and re-engage with someone else. Then the next step, and of course there are skills involved at that second interaction. Third, you've passed the qualification test, so I need to do a demonstration. Show my product or my solution to the prospective client, get them interested, and you need certain skills there, pre-sales related skills. You know the technology that is being offered, but you also equally well need to know the business to which you're bringing a solution. And again, skills are required to be successful there. The next step might be a proof of concept or a proof of value initiative, which demonstrates to the prospect that what you've said you can do, you actually deliver by doing a bite-sized step of the actual project. And if that succeeds, you get into a negotiation and deal closure phase, which are different skills. Well, I don't necessarily want to bore you guys with all the different steps. But the rest of it would be you succeed and you close a deal, then implementation services are involved, which could be project management, install, configure, customize, migrate data, train, and actually deploy upon completion of all the preliminary steps. And again, various skills are required for that particular phase. And then the rest of it would be what happens after you complete the project. There are post-sale interactions which give you an opportunity to keep the client re-engaged, also to offer some sort of post-sale support, which gives an opportunity for the solution to stabilize. Maybe it will take a while for the users to learn the product and know how to utilize it properly. And again, that's an interaction. And then the final two steps are customer advocacy. After you've closed the deal and completed everything, keep in touch with the client. You want to keep them satisfied because it may be a source of repeat business, one. And two, a successful client is a great reference site where another prospect comes along the way. You can refer to the previous successful client and indicate how good a job you would have done. And that's a lot easier than going through the previous steps that I outlined. And then the rest of it is continuing the cycle. Repeat business. Do I have business coming in from the same client again, having been satisfied at my delivery in the initial phase? Or you might start the entire cycle again from prospecting with a prospective client. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot to everyone for their contributions. So keep those in mind, and we are now going to Geoff, who's going to start laying out the framework and for the options that are available to filling those gaps. So stay on your page and reference now with what Geoff has to offer.
Can I just move the furniture further? Right, well, good afternoon. Okay, so we've reached a point where you have decided what your skills gaps are. The next stage was going to be, what do we do about it? And before I go into this, though, I just want to ask everybody a question. How many people here are definitely not coming tomorrow? Hands up. You're not? Okay, so most of you. How many are definitely coming? And how many are undecided? Nobody from the IDB. If you're not coming, there's a real problem. How many are undecided? How many not sure yet? So a few. Okay. Right, so what we thought we'd do, given the progress we've made so far, was to try to concertina together some of what we were going to do on this issue with some of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow. Not all of it, because it would be too much. But because there was a sense in which you might want to see the whole thing before you decide what you're going to be doing tomorrow. So this is kind of like a T20 rather than a 5-day test coming up, okay? To use that language that we both understand. Okay, so, right, let's go on then and say that this is really what I want to cover. Basically, in relation to the skill shortages that you've decided upon, you need to scope what the skills requirements are so that you've got a specification for what you need. I'm not going to go into the details of what needs to be in that specification. We can do that tomorrow. It's quite a dry and detailed piece of work, and it'll probably need you to work with training, some kind of training partner to draw that up anyway. But I did want to say a little bit about the right sort of model, and then start to think about whether what you're looking for is to access something that is specific to the needs of your business, that's available in the here and now? Or do you need to do something that is more a fresh design, something new that isn't available, something that will take some primary work, something that you're really doing because you're looking for a more sustainable long-term solution? Okay, so I'm going to take you through some of those issues, and apologies for the rather boring PowerPoint slide here, but here are the questions that I think you should have been asking yourself in the last session, and you should be asking yourself now. Do you have a clear picture in relation to each of these questions? So, who is it that's going to be doing the training? Okay, which people in your organisation? Managers, exporters, IT specialists, etc. Secondly, are the solutions that you've got within your current workforce, or will it require new recruits? Will it require sourcing new talent from outside? Then, what are the types of skills? I've got high-level technical, life, international marketing, management and leadership, and just basic IT user skills. All of them would be eligible under our program. But I'm again going to say a little bit more about that in a little while if we get to it. Next point. Can you define what success looks like? Now, the classic way in which qualifications and training programs are devised is that businesses say what the performance outcomes are that you want, and they're translated into the learning outcomes that a training program will deliver. So are you clear exactly what the outcome would be in terms of your organisation, in terms of the performance of your organisation? Because that will be essential if you're going to write a proposal for this program. And specifically in relation to that, when we talk about the word skills, can you distinguish between what are the abilities that somebody needs, what are the competencies, what they can do, what they need to know, and then thirdly, this rather nebulous category, which causes a lot of problems, but many, many businesses talk about, which is an attitudinal or behavioural aspect. Okay? All of these things are important when you start to think about developing a potential proposal. Next one, time, place and pace. Now the biggest issue why, and I was picking this up as I was going around the room, why can't people find the skills that they need? Well, it's because, yes, they might be located somewhere in a university degree somewhere, but who wants to lose somebody in their workforce for 3 years to do a degree who might not come back anyway? So particularly if you're looking for professional qualifications, it needs to be at the right time. Can you fit it into the work schedule you've got? Is it in the right place? Because the right place might be the workplace, or might be somewhere local, or it might be learning online, not going to a particular institution somewhere. And finally, pace. You know, can you fit it around your work schedule? Can you put it off? Or is it something that is going to be required one day, every week, etc.? So those issues around time, place and pace, you don't want things to get in the way of your operational delivery requirements. Okay? So all of those things are important, and in what we want to do in this program, when you start partnering with learning organizations, training providers, etc., is to have a dialogue with them so that they can flex their provision to meet your needs rather than you flexing your requirements to fit in with them. Okay? Then, two more. Are the skills unique to your firm, or are they a common need? Now, I'll be absolutely clear here. From an IDB point of view, we are more interested in those skills which are common across a group of businesses than are specific to a particular business. Because much as we love you all, we're not doing it for you. We're doing it for the needs of the economy in Trinidad. I'm doing this Donald Trump thing. I must have been... America first. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's really rather put me off. It's going to catch on. Okay. Are these skills unique to your firm, or are they common? If they are common, then that's better, because what we want to do is to produce a labour pool for you all to fish from, rather than just looking at the needs of your particular business. And then finally, are your skills intrinsic to your business, or do they require knowledge transfer? In other words, have some people already in your organisation already got the skills? Can they mentor or coach the individual in order to be able to achieve those skills? So all of those are questions which should be in your mind as you're starting to move forward to think about whether you want to be part of this particular program. And then finally, the final step here at this stage, and we can pause here if we like, is there are basically two paths you can go to in relation to the program. One is about design, and the other is about finding the right training and then accessing it. So I think there are one or two tables who are talking about the need to do something around developing or designing something that's longer term. So that could be about developing curriculum. The curriculum might be there in the university, but it might need filling. I think that was the case. We were talking about UTT and in the animation industry, that there are certain gaps in the provision. So a curriculum design venture is possible. New assessment models. Is the assessment inappropriate that's currently available? Training the trainer. Maybe the best solution to this is to start thinking not about training individuals, but having a group of people who have got the skills, who maybe could be peripatetic, could move from company to company and provide the training that's required in your sector. Must lead to formal accreditation and certification. That's going to be essential. And the reason for this is quite important. A lot of businesses that I've spoken to in the UK say, we don't care about qualifications. Not interested. We just want our staff to be skilled. And then you say, well, okay, when you recruit somebody, do you ask what qualifications they've got? And they say, of course. And I say, well, yeah, qualifications are important. They're important when you recruit. So it's not fair on the learner to train them and then not give them the evidence that they've acquired those skills. So that's going to be an essential thing as well. So we've got CVQs. We've had an offer from, who are they again? The CVQ people? Yeah. NTA have offered to work on CVQs if you're looking at more competence-based qualifications, level 3 and below. And then we've also got this idea of the finishing school, which maybe Kim can tell you a little bit more at some stage. It's like a kind of postgraduate, up to 1 year qualification which enables people to fill in the gaps of what they've learned at university and bring them up to speed in terms of what you need. So there are lots of stuff there in terms of the design world. The other area is much more about the kind of things that will fill the skills gaps that you immediately face in your business. And there's a whole range of different things there. I'll just select some of them. Vendor qualifications in IT are a big thing. So what do we mean by vendor qualifications? Well, they're the qualifications that are offered by the likes of Microsoft. I don't know, others will know more than this, but some of the big IT household names offer qualifications themselves, and they're quite widely used in some of the countries in Europe and the United States. And then you've got some of the much more bespoke, shorter, tailored qualifications or courses that might be available to you that might fit the bill. So when we use the term MOOCs, is everybody familiar with what a MOOC is? Yeah, okay, massive open online courses or massive online open courses. I never know which way round it is, but MOOCs, the kind of things that are available from MIT online, you have to pay for them. They're quite expensive, but they might be the kind of things you're looking for. Some of you made the point that YouTube does as good a job, so maybe that is another alternative for you. Blended learning is a little bit like that, but it has more kind of actual hands-on support from a personal tutor or whatever. And then we get into the more familiar things that like apprenticeships, degrees, and CVQs. Okay, so all of those are kind of options, really, in terms of filling the skills gaps. And I was going to pause at that point, but I'm on to my next section. So what I thought I would do, rather than go on to that, is just ask, has anybody got any questions? And I'm looking to my colleagues here as well to help me answer any. Are there any questions at this stage?
What's the dual system apprenticeship?
Right, okay. So, right, I can go on for hours about this. I've been very involved. Right, okay, so an apprenticeship, basically, you know what an apprenticeship is, but the dual system is one where it's stipulated that there is both on and off the job training. So the dual aspect of it is that it both takes place within the workplace and it takes place outside the workplace at a learning institution or college, etc. That's what's meant by dual. The Germans don't call their system apprenticeships. They call it the dual system. And all of the evidence shows that the acquisition of learning through both doing it and then reflecting upon it and learning about it in a separate location is one of the most powerful ways for people to actually acquire that learning and for it to be reinforced. So it's a very good method, but whether or not we could actually access dual system apprenticeships within the 18-month time frame is another issue. It may be more one of the design issues if you wanted to go down that route. Any other questions? Yes. Well, it's Caribbean vocational qualification. So we have something in the UK called, we used to actually, we don't have them so much now, but they're national vocational qualifications, MVQs, and they are competence-based qualifications based on standards that are developed by businesses, and they are effectively assessed on the job. And they are evidenced by somebody observing somebody doing the job or by providing evidence that they have performed that particular job function effectively. So I thought they were probably a bit more established than they are, but maybe, yeah. But yeah, most of you heard of it. Okay, fair enough. Oh, but it's interesting. Yeah, okay. It's, to be honest, I'd be surprised. Under university level, it's usually the most common type of vocational qualification. Yeah. Any others? There was one here. Yeah, go on.
Specialized training, you're not really considering specialized training.
Well, when I was saying online short course, off the job, on the job, it would be specialised. Short courses at degree level, whatever. Tell me what you're thinking of.
So you said that you are considering training where the mass was trying to access.
I see.
So I'm on debating form from mass. I have a very
specific skill need.
Specialized training required. And I want to know how you will treat that.
Okay, so what's being asked here is a really specific bespoke skills need for your company, without it necessarily being a skills need that any other company is actually interested in. Good question, really. I'm looking over at Carolina here. Because we're looking for the labour force as a whole, I would just think it's unlikely that it's so specialised that there wouldn't be any benefit to anybody else in having a similar type of skill set.
Well, it will affect other organizations within the country, specifically the ISPs, where it's only a few. I mean, about 3 or 4 ISPs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But it has an international
yes, there is an international presence, but the technology is new.
Yeah, but I mean, that means it could grow.
So it is a special needs training for a new technology. It's now actually it is now going through the ratification process for the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Had not been implemented within the region.
Let me answer it in this way. Conceptually, Microsoft began with that very idea. Mm-hmm. So as a company, they set about creating training programs for their own problems and their own new technologies, which then branched off into something else. So theoretically, the answer would be yes, because the overall idea, while it's set about training your own staff, is to help train an ecosystem of vendors, suppliers, technicians, employees who ultimately have to keep the thing running. Yes?
Yes,
okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent, okay.
Okay, I don't think there's a problem with it because you're saying at the moment it's just a unique need, yeah. But in the future it could be something that to build upon. And that's what we're interested in because we're interested in building the scope of the ITeS sector within Trinidad.
Okay, then. And it's not affecting just the specific need in the room for the applicants only.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's still possible.
Okay, then, excellent.
My question is about the trainer part of that.
Yeah.
Is it that you are training the trainer to be an accredited trainer, or you are having the trainer train people to get accreditation locally?
Well, first of all, if we're training the trainer, we would want that trainer to be accredited, stage one. But stage two, we would also want them to be training people as well. Now, the question would be, in terms of timescale, it's an 18-month program. Let's say we train half a dozen trainers in a particular area. That's building critical mass for the future. But it's quite possible that there won't actually be any people further down the line who are trained by that people within the scope of the program. So there's just got to be a sense of that timescale. But it would depend. I mean, if it's a kind of 3-month program, then...
Well, I was asking about do the trainers, is there a specification where the trainers do provide accreditation for what they're training? Or is it that once they're an accredited trainer, it would be allowed that
it's it's the second one. We want the trainers to be accredited, yeah. Okay, because any of the proposals that we support, we would want to ensure has got an accreditation at the end of it. So that would be the outcome that we'd be seeking. Okay. It has got to be recognised by the IDB, which includes Trinidad, or there's a list of quality assured accreditation, which includes Canadian, UK, and Trinidad-based organisations, and US, I think.
Geoff.
Yeah.
In terms of the clarification with respect to the accreditation, we're talking about for your example, we're talking about industry certification, not so? That's what you're referring to?
The question is that if we, like I said, it may be something. Like I said, it may be something where a person could mentor or take apprentices. But in that case, does the trainer need to have the ability to give the people he is training accreditation? Of course, the trainer has to be accredited. But the question is if the trainer needs to be able to give the students or apprentices or mentees or whatever accreditation. Or a certificate, or that's what I mean.
It's a very interesting question, because if the proposal is for the trainer, we're interested in the trainer's accreditation. But I think our expectation would be that we would want them to be training people and then for that training to be accredited. But I don't think it's a stipulation, because in terms of the proposal itself, we're interested in any training that is done leading to accreditation. So do you see what I mean? So it may be that it's the actual training they do, the mentoring they do, is quite informal.
So if I may, what we want, that all the training that is funded in this program, either for a trainer or for a trainee, leads to a certification. That is right. That is condition, because we want that person, that the beneficiaries of this program, to be able to show something in their CV. Right. Now, with respect to what is the quality of that accreditation, of that certification, the rules that we have are not very, very. We don't have like a set of these are the certificates that we want to have, and these are the only ones. Basically, because we understand very well that the IT sector is very novel and it's innovative, and there may be very good quality certificates that we don't have on our radar, right? Having said that, the proposals are going to be evaluated very much in terms of quality assurance. So if you tell me that to make it easier, simpler terms, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this training, and the certificate is going to come from the Mickey Mouse University versus the MIT, well, So this is important for us to be clear. We're not going to restrict this to the Trinidad and Tobago institutions. And we are open to, for example, as Geoff was mentioning, a certificate that is not provided by the National Training Agency in Trinidad, but rather by Microsoft. That's fair game. But the panel, which it's not the IDB that's going to be part of the panel. It's going to be a combination of public and private. We're going to talk about more about that tomorrow. But the public and private representatives and international experts are going to be in the panel, and they're going to be very focused a lot on quality assurance. But we're not going to say how you are going to assure quality. You are going to tell us, and the most robust proposals in that regard have a better chance to receive the funding. Okay?
Okay, anything else? I'll move on to next section. So, this was going to be tomorrow morning, but I'm going to do it now. So, training that's right for you, what might be eligible for support? This is just really pretty simply coming from the documentation that's on the website. But just first of all, just a general point about what the IDB is interested in terms of your proposal. Tomorrow, we're going to go through in a lot more detail the specifics of the criteria that will be used by the international panel when they have a look at the proposals that come through. But this is just a broad sense of the key things. First of all, well-informed and designed training proposals. So informed by the skills needs that you have and designed well in terms of specified so that it's very clear exactly what would be being paid for. Secondly, evidence that is going to grow the ITES sector. So my colleague here in the front who asked the question about bespoke training, yes, absolutely, because while that is at the moment a skills gap that is for a specific company, ultimately the objective would be that the ITES sector builds on that and grows further. Thirdly, resulting in qualifications which are trusted and portable. This is precisely the question that's just been discussed. Trust being derived from established institutions, widely appreciated and respected by employers and the public alike, and portable because it is not just relevant to one particular company, but is relevant across a sector or across the IT sector. And then finally, all of that meaning money co-invested and well spent. Now, when we say co-invested, one of the things that we will be asking for is the contribution that companies will be making to this particular proposal. That doesn't necessarily mean cash contributions, but the time and energy and commitment that you put into making sure that this actually works. So that's a kind of very high level look at the kinds of criteria that are important to us in terms of judging the best proposals. Now, there's basically, for those of you who've been on the website, you should have seen there's basically three broad categories of skills, and this really doesn't take much more from me, just to basically describe them. First of all, IT technical skills, which must be formal and must be certified, and they are required. So any proposal that is made, whether it's from a consortium of businesses or a single business, must at least have some IT technical skills as part of that proposal. Secondly, while not absolutely mandatory, we'd highly encourage that there is some global export skills, international marketing or some kind of international supply chain management, etc., etc. And these must also be formal and certified. Okay? And then the final category, life skills, which could be the range of things, and I talked about attitudes and behaviors, and that can be part of it, or it can just be problem solving or teamwork, a whole range of different softer skills, they're sometimes called, which may also be absolutely central to your training proposition that you want to put to us. And that's broadly speaking, we would see those three categories as how you would set out your bid. And here are some examples. You can all see them for yourselves: programming, developing applications, web design, databases, operating systems, information security. Well, there we are. Cybersecurity is very much in the news, isn't it? Okay. And then in terms of internationalization, export regulations, project management, language skills, I think the important point here is you can see it's actually quite broad. You know, you might not necessarily immediately think language skills is part of this, but insofar as that is impacting on your ability to operate as an international company, yes, that would be relevant under that category. And then finally, as I've just said about life skills, some of the kind of more nebulous things like conflict resolution or team skills are all part of that. Okay, let me pause there. Any questions on that section? Yeah? Shall I go? Do you want me to go back to a slide?
Thank you.
That one.
Grab a picture of that. Yes. So let me just grab that picture right there. Awesome.
Is that all you wanted me to do? Just.
Thank you, though. I was wondering, like, a couple things came up a little while ago. So, of course, we have these skills inside here, which would definitely help, you know, our proposals or be a good contributor to the overall skills. So one thing I'm seeing so far is definitely a sort of a budget cost kind of thing. So obviously I want the people who may, and of course we're in animation, the people who do animation to have all these skills, but I won't be able to include it in the same proposal according to how it's, you know, distributed. The other thing is slightly related, which is like, say for instance, finishing schools, and that may mean a lot of things to many different sectors. But to me, it could mean something that easily, again, exceeds, you know, the budget. So is that something you all are in consideration of if there's an overwhelming want for a finishing school and this finishing school does, you know, maybe these things in addition to others? Would you all say that's a possibility, or nah, you know, fireburn that because it just don't fit within the, you know, within that one proposal sort of setup?
Okay, so we're talking here about the design column as opposed to the delivery column, yeah? My feeling is that, we talked to Carolina about this at lunchtime, that multiple applications would be welcome. You know, so it's possible for a particular consortium or even a particular business, but certainly
just to be clear, multiple applications will be welcome.
Yeah.
Good.
That's what you wanted to hear, wasn't it?
Hey, one of them, just making sure everyone else heard it.
Yeah. So look, I mean, basically, if you've got two business propositions that are meet all our criteria, but the budget is too small to cope with two, three more, then yeah, you can put more than one in.
So question, can you do an application based on a coalition and an application for your own personal needs?
Wait, you mean when you say personal needs, you mean business specific?
Business specific needs. I meant what I said.
I don't think there's a restriction as far as I can tell. No, there's no restriction.
I mean, the restrictions that are there are the ones that are published in the webpage. If you don't find them,
that is, I think that will be in the webpage.
Okay.
what is in the webpage?
I believe
For the training providers.
You have to be either one or the other.
I think what he's asking. Oh, sorry, thank you. Yeah, I believe what he's asking, which is something I came across as with the membership of Titan. Of course, it's the industry is filled with skills gaps, and we kind of went along the route based upon the information that if we, of our own accord, you know, have our businesses and we qualify, that's it. We can't again or additionally be a part of another coalition proposal. Cursor?
Yeah, I believe that's...
I believe it was indicated as such.
Okay. I mean,
I'm going to say that the official answer to your question the webpage says that one firm cannot present more than one proposal, then that's the rule. What? Okay?
So,
But we can, but I think we should be explicit about that and answer that question because it's very important, Joy.
Yeah, we'll check that. I mean, there's two specific things. There's whether a consortium can make more than one application, and I think, but whether an individual company has to make a choice whether they're doing it individually or whether they're part of a consortium, and that might be the restriction. I think the only thing I do want to say is that I think when the panel meets and makes its decision, it will be wanting to think about investing their funds wisely in terms of the interests of the business community of Trinidad as a whole. So to give all of the resources to one subsector would probably not be, the best way of spending limited resources.
Yes,
but
exactly.
yes.
Assuming that the multiple applications are true, would it also apply if you partner with more than one training provider? So is it that you must only have one training provider? For example, if you have life
We will
skills.
answer those questions tomorrow.
Or
I mean, the
tomorrow,
question
okay.
about the multiple applications is a homework for us. We're going to revise exactly what is there in the webpage and we will.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, yeah.
I just wanted to, this is Tracy Hackshaw here, to answer the question on the monetary issue, because I think that's one I want to be careful about. So the issue that you're raising about if you have proposal that's over what is listed there, it's going to be a challenge for the evaluation committee to make that award. So you have to be guided by the cap in the documentation. So I want to make sure you understand that. So if you propose something that's going to go above the limit, that is something that we would not want to encourage. If you see what I'm trying to say.
But Tracy, if you had one which was a train the trainer program and another one which was a curriculum design proposal.
No, so each award will only be made at up to the level of the cap. I'm not going to, well, again, that's Carolyn. So let's treat with the multiple applications tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I just want to make very clear that issue with the.
Yeah.
So we're not, so in other words, you said if we could play with it and it's flexible. No, it's not.
I think.
Right? So I make sure, I'm going to make that very clear. And there's an issue, there's a contractual issue related to that. So make sure that's very, very clear.
Yeah, okay. So we'll give you a definite answer tomorrow. I mean, I think our instinctive reaction is that's desirable, but we need to make sure it's within the rules of the IDB. Okay. So a good incentive to come back tomorrow, if you're looking for one. So any other questions?
Yeah, I was wondering if the certification which is required, is that something that already has to be in existence or something that we could develop along with the organization that we're working with?
Yeah, you could develop it, yeah. So you could develop a new qualification and accreditation. So, I mean, you could work with UTT or whoever, to develop a short course. If they accredit it at the end, after you've helped them design the content, that's fine.
Right, so then in a case like that where accreditation doesn't currently exist, the development of the curriculum would have to be part of the proposal.
Yeah. And I think we would like to see, I mean, we're encouraging those types of application because I think curriculum development means that we're building something for the future which is going to be long lasting. So there are some particular advantages of that sort of proposal. In fact, to some extent, one of our concerns before we came into this is, were we just going to get a preponderance of very small scale applications for bespoke training and nothing that was going to build for the future? And I think it's heartening to hear that we've got a balance of different requirements being expressed.
So if in that situation the accreditation is not there with the company, everything has to be done in 18 months.
That's an issue, yes. Hang on.
We've checked with the ACTT and NTA, and it takes about 3 months to approve a program.
Yeah, it's the lead-in time, Kim, before that. I mean, normally to get from the point of design of initiating a project to actually finishing it, it usually takes 12 months because there needs to be a process of consultation. I don't know how the system works, but generally there has to be a process of consultation with a critical mass number of different companies in that field before a particular accreditation can be offered. So it usually is quite a time-consuming business. But 18 months should just about be enough, I would hope. We'll talk to the training providers about that.
So in the case where accreditation doesn't currently exist, there may not be enough time to both create it and implement it.
I think
We've met with, and we're using the word accreditation consciously because accreditation has a technical meaning of its own. Sorry, okay. Sorry about that. So what we're talking about is having a short course approved as opposed to accredited, which is a stiffer requirement. So we've checked with the Accreditation Council as well as NTA, and we've been advised that it takes about 3 to 4 months to approve a program. And if it's a new program, depending on the level, you can begin training in that program while you're seeking approval as well. So if it's a lower level program, you can actually begin implementing and seek approval simultaneously. Yeah?
Okay, so yeah, so I suppose a key issue which I'm going to come to in a moment is partnering with a training organisation. I'm going to show some of the models of how that works.
My point kind of touches on that a little bit. I had reviewed on the website, and they said, well, here that you can have the same training provider, so you have an external provider with multiple partners in the country, so you could have several proposals coming with the same training provider, but they said that you locally couldn't have multiple proposals yourself. So that's what I saw on the website. So have that clarified anything for people who asked?
That's what we're going to look at, because if you're part of a consortium, can you put more than one proposal forward? Okay, let me move on, and then we can have this is quite a difficult area, this issue about finding the right partner, because one of the stipulations of the programme is there needs to be a training provider involved in this, the process of this programme. And the difficulty, and this has been something that's delayed actually the launch of this programme, is that when we originally conceived this, we wanted something that was going to be employer-owned, where the employers were going to be in the driving seat. But because it's public money, then the convention was that public money had to be given to a public organisation. So and that's changed. Yeah, that's changed. So the solution that we've come up with effectively is the employer is still in that position where they can be the accountable body, but there does need to be a training partnership involved. So there has to be a partnership with a training provider. And if I've got this right, this was my attempt to try to show you some of the examples. Yes, or take photographs if you want. I hope this is clear and I hope this is accurate. Okay, so you've got three effective business configurations. You've got a single company, a company with more than 10 employees, yeah. A small company consortium where a number of companies come together which are micros or mini companies under 10 employees or less. And you've also got the potential for a business association to make a proposal. So each proposal coming forward will require a business presence within the partnership. And it will also require a presence of a local provider, a partner. However, that doesn't mean to say that necessarily the actual training itself has to come from within Trinidad and Tobago. It could do, as you can see in the first instance there, the local provider is both acting as the training partner but also the deliverer of the training as well. A second option is where the provider is international, but that we include a local provider that operates as a link body for two reasons. One is because that local provider quality assures whatever it is that you are sourcing. So this is to avoid the situation where public money is being used for something that we don't actually know whether we can approve or not. And the local provider effectively signs that off for you. In a sense, it protects the company. But secondly, as well, hopefully it will build the capacity as the provider as well, because they will understand what type of provision is being sought by you as businesses, which is going to be of importance to them to know in terms of developing their own training offer. And the third option there is where the provider acts as a broker. So in other words, you don't know what you want, you know the specification of what you want, the provider doesn't offer it, but it actually operates on the basis that it will source the right provision for you, okay? So it will look round and through its training contacts or whatever, it will make contact and it will then be able to source, but also quality assure as well. Make sure that you're getting the right thing. So those are effectively the basic models. And there's a list of the full range of recognised providers that's available on the website that you can see there. Okay, so tricky area, and any points or questions I can see? Is it accurate, first of all, Kim? Come on, tell me.
Just for clarification, persons can have an international provider without a local in between. I mean, it's not what we would encourage, but it is possible as well.
Is it? Okay.
That was one half of my question.
Yeah, I just want to. Tracy, can you just hello?
Tracy?
You know, we had a conversation about this. So we're saying that you can have an international provider, not encouraged, we can have an international provider without a local training organisation involved. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Okay.
Awesome. The next thing I wanted to clarify, and believe me, that was definitely one of them, which we brought up at a recent interview with Joy. The single company versus small company consortium, while I'm definitely all for it, there lies a category within the new and emerging animation industry whereby, and I want to clarify it as best as I can publicly, whereby we don't employ 10 people on a regular basis, but during the year, say for instance, using myself as an example, I've employed way over 60 people for the year but on a project basis, some of them more regular than others. But from a particular standpoint, that means I don't qualify as a single company. But from another standpoint, I very well can. And because I've done so many productions successfully, I obviously can make the case that I could very well apply as a single company as I need to. So I don't know if you could shed some light on that.
Well, I mean, I know how we do it in the UK, but I don't know how we do it here. So my colleagues have an idea of how we define the number of employees of a company?
So,
we haven't defined the number of employees strictly. What we've said is that if you have 10 employees or more, you do have the capacity to apply in solely. We know that there are a number of firms and/or individuals who, from time to time, recognizing that the sector is one in which nowadays few persons really hire individuals or resource their businesses with full-time employment. In a number of cases, we do have firms that contract from time to time. There's a lot of freelance work that's going on in the sector. So we are saying that if you, over the course of a year, over the course of 6 months, on average, you do have as many as 10 persons working on doing work for you, then you, as far as we're concerned, qualify for the 10 or more. In the skills needs questionnaire, what we've done is that we have just asked for us to get a sense of what's the nature of that full-time part-time kind of mix, is to get a sense of that, get that data so we understand the sector a little better. But you can make your justification in terms of how you develop when you develop and design your proposal, to make the case for yourself that on average you employ a certain amount, be it 3 full-time and the rest part-time contractual freelance. So it's allowable once you show that over some period of time and on average you do employ a number of persons from 10 or more. Does that clear?
Yes, thank
Does
you
that
very
clear
much.
this up? Yeah.
It's okay.
But we have not, if you look under, we have not defined employees as full-time employees. That is definitely not on the site. Okay?
Okay. So, that was questions and reflections. This was the group exercise that I'd originally done, which is to kind of brainstorm really what some of the skills gaps might be. I'm wondering how to use the rest of the time. We've got about 40 minutes. It might be helpful now, having had the information that you've got, to start to develop some of your ideas and feedback, possibly some of your further issues as a result of that. Carolina, what do you think? Yeah, I mean, tomorrow there's quite a lot to go through, like costing your proposal, what activities are eligible, risk assessment, what further support is available. So there's loads of reasons to come back tomorrow. But the idea of doing this today was basically, we didn't want to just leave you without having some kind of sense of the program as a whole. But as you can see, I'm not an expert on every aspect of it, so but hopefully that's been helpful to you. Okay, so as I say, maybe just use the rest of the time today to start thinking about some of those, filling in those skills gaps.
Okay, so I have a suggestion, because I was going to do this earlier and it was all time sensitive. I'm suggesting that we shift around the groups again. I think I had mentioned that right after lunch. And based on the type of needs that you have, and just walking around the room, there are certain sort of predicted, sort of specific sets. Some software development, some data analytics, specific skills. There's a core area well, there's one 2D, one 3D animation, put in specific skills. And what I'd like you to do, if you agree with this, is to brainstorm in the group all of the different opportunities and options for training that you believe exists in your industry. So that cross-fertilization will allow everyone to sort of get a universe, before talking about training providers, a universe of options of training based on the knowledge and experience of those at the table. Is that fair? So there can be train the trainer. Well, I know of this MOOCs course that does this. Well, I know that this institution does an accredited program on X. And all of a sudden, everyone has a data bank of opportunities for their specific area and skills needs before we get into any other section. How do we feel about that for the next 30 minutes? Yes? Silence means consent again? All right, there we go.
Shall we knock something up to put on the slide so they know what they're doing?
Oh, we can, but I don't have time. We'll just...
As long as they all understood it.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to do a hands up, because I was basically filtering around, and that's where I began to see the commonalities. Right. Data analytics, and of course there may be, unfortunately, people with multiple needs. Data analytics, business analytics, big data, and so on. Hands up. Need. Skills gap. Hands up high, I can't see. Right, 3. Software development, specifically. 1, 2, okay. All right, so that's clearly a group already. Web development, UX design, and so on, all related. That's you. Okay, so that's 1. So you have a subgroup. Animation, 2D animation, 3D animation. I'll include, can I include VR inside of there? Oh, that makes no sense. Yeah, can we stretch? All right, so we have another group. So we have two Clair groups, software development and animation. Throw up any e-commerce. I have two, I think I heard. Three, all right. So we have a subgroup on e-commerce. Any other group? Shout it out, let's see how we... Internationalization, sorry, yes, we had quite a few. Hi. 1, 2, 3, 4, there we go, subgroup. 5. Any other emerging skills that we can form a subgroup on? Shout, anyone. Project management and productivity tools, anyone? Oh, there was another one, social media, multimedia content development. No? Okay. Content development and content development. So there's two. Can I put market research and data analytics and so on, or no? You're talking about primary. Well, fair enough. All right, good. So, software development. All right, I'll leave you all over there. Animation, I think there are a couple people that need to move to that table. What was the other one that I missed? E-commerce. E-commerce, it was 3, yes? You all can go over there. Internationalization, there was 5, I think. I want to see where the majority is sitting. But software development can stay here, so internationalization can come here. And then, well, I know you are, yeah. The rest are going to have to try. The rest, please spend the time identifying, researching, if you can, the range of options that you believe are available to you, to fulfill your skills needs. Your market research, go over there to, yes. Yes? Yeah, keep them there. Market research and internationalization, I'll keep here.
And e-commerce is going.
E-commerce is going over there. No, you are hands-on skills. So you're going to have to do that on your own, right? Okay, we have just under 10 minutes left to go, and then we're going to pause to wrap up. Hoping to wrap up by 4.
I'm now competing with ambulance or something. Good. Let's close off. We have a few minutes left before the end of the day. I know everyone's tired or probably on a high, still buzzing. I'd like Carolina to come, just close off the day and discuss a little bit more. Of course, if anybody else from the IDB wants to chip in, please feel free. But to close off where we are at this stage and sort of prepare ourselves for a very detailed discussion tomorrow morning.
So I'm gonna talk from here. So thank you very much for your time today. At some point during the afternoon, I asked my colleague Eugenia to take a picture. Of what was going on, because I felt very happy to see the engagement of you with this project. It was like what we envisioned, right? Employers owning the skills agenda, literally. So thank you very much. I know that you are. I'm a bureaucrat. I'm not an entrepreneur or I'm not in the business sector. So I admire a lot the business community. And I was thinking all the time, these people are really busy. They have clients, they have budgets, they have deadlines, and they're spending our time with us. So I really appreciate that. And also the fact that Geoff was telling me, I'm so pleasantly surprised because they are talking so much about the long term, the long run. And I think it partly reflects the fact that you are this is a new industry that is trying to grow and is trying and there's a lot of potential here. So thanks a lot. Now to the business tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk a lot about some of the details of the more in detail about not only about the proposal, but also about the schedules, the selection process. We're going to talk about several things. I'm going to list them up in a minute. But basically, the overall goal tomorrow is twofold. The first one is to discuss in more details. Threefold, actually. To discuss in more details the project and the proposals. Second, I also want you to get even more acquainted with the team. The team that we have here in Trinidad. I know that you've already met Joy and Kim, and many of you have already met them, but I want you to if for those that you haven't met them, they are actually going to be the real allies that you have here. And the second and the third thing that we want to discuss that we're going to do is, if we have enough time, we are going to start doing a more one-to-one, not one-to-one, a much more tailored assistance depending on the ideas that you have. Okay? So, and also importantly, the other thing that we're going to do is that we're going to discuss the extra help that you're going to receive after these 2 days, because actually in this project, in this program, we are not the assistance, the technical assistance that you're gonna receive from the team doesn't end tomorrow. So that is also important. So I'm going to list out the topics that we're going to discuss tomorrow. The first one is the topic about eligibility. Basically, clarify what are the criteria for the selection panel to actually evaluate the proposals. There are eligibility rules for the fact that the type of firms and also the type of partnerships that you will have. So we're going to discuss that tomorrow. I mean, a lot of that information is on the webpage, but we want to clarify because we noticed that there are some, this is a new project, and sometimes when you design the rules, you start realizing that there can be ambiguity, and we want to make the clarification. So the very important question that was addressed today about the multiple bids is going to be addressed tomorrow. The reason why we are hesitant to answer the question is because there are some, we want to ensure that there are some objectives of the design of the project that are coherent with the actual procurement rules. And also because there is like a difference between being able to apply with multiple bids and actually being able to be selected. So we want to make sure that we are going to be providing the official answer, and once we have it, we're going to verify that that is clear in the webpage, okay? And if it's not clear, we'll have to address that too, okay? So the answer is gonna come tomorrow. The second thing that we're going to discuss tomorrow is the schedule, as I just said. We're going to talk about a little bit about the type of selection criteria in more detail. Geoff made a very big overview of the type of proposal that we want, but we already have a little bit more detailed grasp on that. And we're going to also talk about the templates, actually. So we're going to walk you a little bit through that tomorrow. We're also going to talk about what is what expenses can be funded in the project. Some questions came up, so we want to clarify them. Whether capital goods can be funded, and the answer is yes, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But more importantly, we're also going to talk about for those awards that are, for those proposals that are, the importance of that eventually you will have to be acquainted with the procurement rules of the IDB. And finally, we're going to talk about the help that will come afterwards. So Rhea and Geoff are going to be available virtually, and there's also going to be a team here in the ground in Port of Spain that will, in principle, help you support the design of the proposals, okay? So thanks again for your time.
You just went through the things that we were going to cover, but can we find out if there's anything that they
Yes.
would like us to cover that we haven't covered? Between
Excellent. Yeah, Kim knows already.
No, just a quick check to see. Carolina went through what we're going to cover tomorrow. Is there anything that she mentioned on her list that we haven't covered today that you'd like us to address tomorrow? Yes. Anything? Yeah?
Okay. Thanks a lot. All right.